Hi, I'm Matt Little. I'm the strength and conditioning coach for the GB Davis Cup team. So I'm here making sure that the guys get as strong and as fit and as flexible as possible for the upcoming tie against Spain. It's really important, especially when they're playing on the clay, that they get a lot of force and they generate a lot of force from their lower body with their legs, so that they can put a lot of spin on the ball and hit the ball with a lot of power, because clay is a slow surface, so you need to be able to generate your own power and push your opponent around the court. So the exercises that we were doing were the deadlift, where Dom was lifting the weight from the ground, and also the step-ups using some dumbbells as well. And both of those exercises are designed so that you can push off the ground as hard as you can and ultimately put as much power and spin onto the ball as possible. If any of you want to try that step-up exercise at home, that's perfectly fine, but I would start without any weights to begin with, and don't use a step that's too high, because you don't want to bend your knee too much and hurt your knee initially. So play around with a kind of a low step to begin with, and then increase the height of the step as you go, and then perhaps add some weight at a later date. Okay, let me just take you through some of the warm-ups as well that we've been doing with the chaps here this week. The most important thing for these guys, especially because they're changing surface from the hard courts onto the slippery surface of the clay, we need to make sure that their hip is particularly warm. Both their hips are particularly warm. And you'll see when they're playing the matches that they'll get into some quite wide, almost splits type positions. And so we really need to make sure that their inner thigh muscles are particularly loose and that they're able to get into some really deep, wide positions with their feet. And so if you look at some of the exercises that we're doing when they're using the TRX, particularly, we're getting them into some low lunging positions and some positions that are wide with their legs to really open up their hip joints and make sure they're nice and loose for when they start to slide around on the clay.